I don't have full surround sound because this is a fairly small office and the sound bar is more than enough to scare the neighbors. I'm sure they just hear gunshots all the time. I'm here in my home office here in Denver, Colorado with my coworker, and I've just noticed during quarantine that there were a lot of inefficiencies and things that I didn't like about my home office because being stuck here for 8 hours a day makes you realize what you like and don't like about your office space. So in this episode, I give you a tour of my home editing suite. There were a lot of mistakes I made the first time. So if you're looking at doing a YouTube channel or setting up a production studio in your home, a place to edit, or even just a place to be creative, these are all the different tips that I would suggest. So you guys ready for a tour? Yeah, you ready? Let's go. Welcome to my office. This is actually a spare guest bedroom that I converted in my house that's right off the dining room, and it's only 14 by 12 feet, but you know what? You don't need a huge basement or a big rec room to make a really great editing and office suite. You really just need a spare bedroom or a little corner of the house. This is a 1955 ranch brick, and you can almost not hear any of the noise outside on the street. For this reason, I didn't need sound panels. A lot of people think, hey, you need sound panels in your office to make it legit. This is really popular with Twitch streamers and YouTubers. I know it's a cool aesthetic, but just know that you really don't need it. That doesn't block noise from the outside, it only blocks the echo in here. I've got carpet, I've got a little bit of texture on the ceiling, and there's enough furniture in here that you're really not gonna hear that much echo. So that would be tip number one, is think about the sound before you think about how things look. All right, you gearheads, I am going straight for the good stuff first because I know that's what you want to see. This is my gear cage. So this is a closet that was, again, this was a bedroom. So this is the closet, and I painted the whole interior jet black just so that it would look cool. There's really no other reason. Even though black is a cool color, sometimes you can't see your stuff. Everything in film production is black. So I made the interior white, and then I put these really cool puck lights. It uses the remote and you can control it. So there's a couple things you can change, whether it's warm or cool. So I set it to about 4,000 for the color temperature. Using this remote makes it super easy. This was far, far easier than trying to install canned lights in the ceiling of a closet. So each cube is themed with its own type of equipment. In the top area, we have things like the atmosphere spray, spare lavs and microphones, my Bose headset, and just a couple other audio related things. All right, in the next one, I have some of my lighting stuff. There's gels, frosts, and then there's scrims, light boxes, and spare light bulbs. Over here, the most important section for production. These are all my film notebooks. So my director's ideas, my notes from college, all the different ideas and projects that I have. I just keep notes on pretty much every single meeting, and I don't get rid of them for a while because a lot of times I have really great ideas and I want to recycle them for future projects. This area is just my general camera stuff. It's where I store my Sony and my Canon when I'm not using them. There's a static-free mat underneath to be able to keep everything nice and clean and tidy and organized. Over here, we have a ridiculous amount of gaff tape because you can never have enough gaff tape. There is clear tape in there in case I need to pack boxes and ship things out. And then there's also board tape. And then I've got my Spock cup, and in there I put a whole bunch of C47s and pens, and there's some extra plastic clips in there in case I need to just clip things down, whether it's for lighting or gear or cables. Over here is a battery section. I would highly, highly recommend, this is my next tip, to have a designated area to charge all your batteries. Down here, if you haven't figured it out already, I'm a bit of a neat freak and I like to organize things in cubicles and sections. So these are 4 Tupperwares that have all different cables in it, USB, power, XLR, things like that. The very bottom one is a GoPro kit of just all my random GoPro stuff. And then over here is more lighting. These are the LED light panels that I have. I only have 2 of them because anything bigger than that, I'm going to be renting gear from a gear house. But these are the 2 that I have, and they fit perfectly in this IKEA cube. How fantastic. Oh, I love organization. It's so great. On each side, I keep my tripods, my light stands, I have a 14-foot jib crane that lives in this closet also. But the reason why I do it is so that things don't fall over. So I keep them on the sides where they can't tip over too much. The bookcase kind of blocks them from falling over, and so they just stay stacked up against the wall. And then underneath, because it's the heaviest stuff, I made sure to install this bookcase elevated so that beneath it I could store my 2 or 3 Pelican cases. Look how beautiful it is, isn't it pretty? It's so shiny. It looks like a Macy's shopping display. I just open the door and I'm like, oh, what do I need today? All right, let's move on to the actual editing area. This is where I spend most of my day doing computer work, checking emails, and doing all of my editing. So this room functions as both my living room and my office because I live in a small house. It's 1,000 square feet. It also makes it really cool because pre-quarantine, when I had clients come over, they could just sit here on the couch and look up and see this big screen and be able to easily look at the footage. So this is a 65-inch Vizio 4K TV. And then underneath it, I have a 32-inch 4K Dell. Now this I do regret buying, and it's because I bought this when I was a little bit on a stricter budget, but ideally, I would have bought something that's much better at color correction. One thing that I would recommend doing is making sure that whatever color you put behind your TV and your monitor is not something that's really bright or pure white. What I would recommend is painting it something dark or neutral, and that'll be easier on your eyes. So standing desks can be very expensive, and so what I did was I bought this standing desk on Amazon for less than $200. It really didn't cost that much, but they were just the legs. And then I put this, I don't know, $50 IKEA table on top. I personally stand the entire time because sitting hurts my knees. I'm kind of old, guys. I'm getting old. My next quick tip for this would be to make sure that you are standing when you are editing. This is kind of debatable, but I personally think that it's better to stand when you edit. Think about composers or artists who stand at their easel. They're always standing because it's supposed to enhance your creativity, have better focus and work ethic, and I actually truly believe that that is the case. Next, let's take a look at how I have my editing workflow set up over here. So a couple things, we've got drawers right here, and these don't really have too much in them. I have note cards right here, and these are used if I want to organize scripts or take notes on shot lists and such. And I've got tons of sticky notes, different colors because we use a lot of color coding. And then I have my business credit cards in here, like the Apple card and my Chase Sapphire. The reason why I have them in here is because I think it's very important when you're freelancing, especially, to make sure that you keep your personal and your business credit cards separate. So in the other section of the drawer over here, I have all my USB sticks and my SD cards, and those just go out to clients all the time, so I just have handfuls of them because I need them all the time. These are my remotes that go to everything. The TV, the sound bar, I have a Vizio sound bar with a subwoofer. I don't have full surround sound because this is a fairly small office, and the sound bar is more than enough to scare the neighbors when I'm playing Call of Duty and they just hear, I'm sure they just hear gunshots all the time. And so the sound bar is more than enough for me. It's also a really good way for me to check in-room sound because I tend to edit primarily on my headphones. So I have my headphones hanging right here. I use Sony Studios. And then in the other drawer over here, I keep most of my stationery stuff. So there's stamps, there's a whole bunch of washi tape. It's all different colors because I have to color code all my scripts. Color coding is a must-have skill if you're getting into film production. We use it for everything. And then the most important part of this is my Mac Mini. Insane. This is the new M1, and with my faculty discount, it only costs $850. This edits 4K footage just fine. It's a little slower on the export, so if you're doing a lot of proxy work, or for me, I added a lot of ARRI Alexa, and it struggles a little bit on there, but man, for 850 bucks, this is a smoking fast machine. And then I just have my little bar over here, and this is a docking station that allows me to have more USB slots, as well as the very important SD card slot right here. This I got on Amazon also. It's super cheap and it works great. Now let's talk about this insane setup over here. These are 4 RAID towers, and each of them have their own purpose. So these are not RAIDs, but these are 2 10 terabyte external drives, and they are clones of each other. So one backs up to the other every single day, and this is my primary work machine. I'll probably do a future episode on how all this is set up specifically, so that if you are interested in editing and figuring out how to maintain, more than 100 terabytes of footage, this is going to be the workflow for you. We have the 10 terabytes that back each other up. This is what I work on every single day because they're fast. This is a 32 terabyte RAID, and this is for a client. It's all ARRI Alexa footage, which is why it's insane. But I work with them so much that they just gave me this RAID to work off of in the meantime, because it's gonna be a couple months worth of editing. And then over here, we have my own personal 16 terabyte RAID. This I do regret only doing 16 terabytes. I would suggest, this is my quick tip for here, that if you do put together a RAID tower, don't do 16 terabytes. You're always going to outgrow 16 terabytes. Do at least 24. I don't know what I was thinking with 16. I filled this thing up within like 2 or 3 months, and so I'm constantly having to back this up to other external hard drives to save them because I just burned through so much footage. Now I do back these all up to some externals that you can see right here, but still, to make my life easier, it would have been nice to just have a bigger RAID tower. So I would suggest buy the biggest RAID tower that you can afford. All right, now we're underneath my desk, and as you can see, I've organized all my cables to be neat and tidy and out of the way because messy cables just look unprofessional, and when I have a client sitting right here looking, I don't want all this junk, all these cables in the way. So I mounted a extra long power strip underneath in order to plug everything in, and it's all labeled with black tape, and this all gets plugged into this backup battery. Now this backup battery is called a UPS, which means it is able to give continuous power to everything, and the moment any sort of power glitch happens or power outage goes up, it has enough power stored that it can smooth out that glitch. So instead of there being an electrical surge, which could potentially fry your equipment, instead this kind of buffers it so that you don't just zap all your gear. This will power my whole system between 30 minutes and 2 hours, depending on how much I tell it to reserve. But this handles most surges. Again, I live in an old house and there are a lot of electrical surges, so this has been a huge lifesaver. So let's talk about lighting next. For me, a huge priority was making sure that I had an office with sunlight. You don't need to be editing in pitch dark. I know this is some idea of like having this cool basement theater look, but you really don't need to have a pitch black room to do editing. So I wanted to have a mix of daylight and selective cozy lighting. So all my lighting is warm, it's ambient, it's not overhead lighting. Along those lines, I wanted to make sure I picked colors that were modern with that fresh, wonderful look to it. And so I painted these 3 walls over here a light warm gray, not a cool gray. And then I painted the wall behind my television screen and my monitor a really dark gunmetal gray color. These light gray walls are called Campfire Ash from Bear. And then the dark gray that's behind my television screen, it's not quite pitch black. Pitch black looked a little weird, but I ended up using one called Gray Metal from Glidden, and I think it looks really, really nice. Okay, so same thing over here. I use those puck lights, but I keep this one warm all the time because the wood color is really warm. And then I've got these black iron metal bookcases with actual wooden shelves. My old office look, I used old furniture that I had from college, and to me it just looked like a science lab or like an IKEA magazine. It was very impersonal, almost like a spaceship or something, a little too sterile for me. So I wanted to bring in some natural tones from the outside. I live in Colorado. It's just kind of my thing, right? Over here, I have my 16mm antique camera, and then I've got all my film books here just so I can come over and reference them. I also, since I teach at the university, these are some of the books that I use, so I just keep them on hand so I can flip through them, and when I'm writing my lectures, I know what to use. This shelf I wanted to have lower because it's easy access, and these are all my current lenses. Over here I have the leather camera bag for the 16mm film, and then this is a holocron that my sister designed for me. You put an LED light in it and it actually looks like a Star Wars holocron. And these are boxes of scripts that I've written or worked on in the past. They're all printed out on paper and I just keep them collected in here. All right, and then down here, this is my shrine of video game related stuff. I'm a PlayStation gamer, so I've got a PS4 and a PS3. No PS5 yet. So sad. But I have all my controllers here to charge and my headset, and then underneath over here I have all of my art books. These are the concept art books for both, films and video games. All my favorite ones, like there's Devil May Cry, The Last of Us, Firefly, Star Wars. To me, it's really cool because You know, I've been trained as a director, and a lot of times when people come talk to me, I get credit for the film, but I know that there's an entire crew and a whole bunch of other artists behind the scenes that helped me to collaborate to work on this project. So when I go through these books, it's really cool just to see all the people who are involved in making this incredible work of art. You get to see their scripts, their notes, their drawings, their doodles, and to me, it's just really interesting to get into the minds of other artists. So my next tip would be to explore other art areas as a filmmaker. You should not just be learning film in a box, you should be working in other industries in art in order to really round out your skills. I hope you enjoyed my home film editing suite tour and that you got some inspiration to be able to make your own home office. So if you want to take a deeper dive into all the different things that I have and shop this office, I do have a blog post with links in the description of everything that I own in this office in case you would like to buy it, the exact brands, the price, things like that. I am going to do a tour of my vehicle, which has been custom built to be a mobile film rig. That's coming up next. A tour of my editing workflow setup and tutorials to help you as a filmmaker establish yourself as a freelancer, a contractor, or a filmmaker so that you can start earning money doing what you love. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.